Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth session of MobLabLive. Today we'll be talking about how positive narrative wins in a fake news world, which is another interesting topic of the series. I welcome you all to having joined this conversation from different parts of the world and in different time zones. If you are on the chat room, please feel free to introduce yourself. And where are you from? Where do you work on? So that other peers will join the conversation as well. We have an incredible panel of guest speakers who will be talking about their experiences on this particular topic and what's working for them, what's not working, and other work that they're doing across organizations and movements. And before I introduce themselves, as usual, I forget introducing myself. My name is Aprajita, and I work with Mobilization Lab in the capacity of network builder and community connector. Michael will join us for moderating the session, and I will let him introduce himself when he gets into that. But we have Rachel, we have Dawood Khan, and we have Katrina Crook who have joined us on the panel. Rachel is the managing director at Narrative Initiative, which is a training and networking resource for leaders and organizations. And they do a lot of work on strategy, narrative strategy, strategic communications with organizational leaders and movements. Dawood Khan has joined us from Pakistan. He's a communication and advocacy strategist. Has done a lot of work on international relations and development sector with different INGOs. And he will be talking about the current protection movement in Pakistan, which has gained a lot of attention in terms of like global media and is very relevant to the discussion that we are going to have today. Katrina has joined us from Ukraine. She works as a civil activist and a political scientist. She is an analyst at stopfake.org, which is a media firm, and they sort of do a lot of work on reporting fake news, as well as pushing forward positive narratives. So she's going to talk us through the work, that interesting work. And very quickly, I also wanted to just run you through the session flow. So we'll be talking to different speakers and the topic for the first 45 minutes. And the second half of the session will be open to audience questions. So if you have any questions, please type that out on the YouTube chat room and we will pose it to the speakers. Also keep tweeting about your learning so that other people can know what's going on in the session as well. And on that note, Michael, welcome and take us through the session.
Thanks, Aprajita. I'm excited to be here for this conversation with all of you. And yeah, please keep putting in your name, location, your questions. My job here is really to do just one thing, which is represent all of you who are joining in for this conversation in this dialogue. And so we all want to get your questions into the mix, and as we hear and learn from these incredible guests. I work alongside Aprajita here at the MobLab, and as many of you know, we are a network of social change campaigners all around the world looking for what works, looking to improve our skills, our tactics, our strategies, so that we can break through and win on issues of climate, social justice, human rights, a range of our greatest challenges that we all face collectively today. What a wild and crazy time we are in. I want to cut myself off here because I want to hear more from our incredible guests, and so let's just get around in. Let's just get some initial comments in from everyone, if we can, all three of you, and we've done some quick introductions, but let's just get a flavor of how you're seeing the world. Give us a sense from each of your perspectives, what are the biggest challenges you are currently seeing when it comes to shaping or communicating a positive narrative? And why don't we start from, let's go to the Ukraine with Katerina.
So hello everyone, and thanks for having me on this panel, and thank you very much for your introductions and obviously.
Thanks. And what about in Pakistan, Dawood?
Well, I think, as Katrina said, Pakistan is also going through some very important stages at this time. The general elections are coming. There are some, the important topic of the narrative and movements is all relevant in Pakistan. And the most important, the most daunting challenge to communicate with people in today's world is the partisan nature of commercial and corporate media. And this is one of the tricky issues that the media becomes, biased and is not fully free in most of the countries, but it is particularly not very free in Pakistan. And this partisan nature of the media leads it to concocting and generating fake news just to support one side or the other. And this scourge of fake news is, becoming a monster when it comes to social media, because everybody is enabled now through social media that he or she can create fake news and disseminate it to maybe thousands and millions of people. Because as you know, that the lies spread faster than the truths. So the fake news problem is there, and it is not only one side that is the victim. It is always the every party is the victim of fake news. And what I think is important is that people must know the basics of fact checking and the common sense of how to know that a particular media house, a particular website, or a kind of account or a piece of information is fake. So that basic information is very important. So to me, the biggest challenge is the fake news and the partisan or the biased nature of corporate media.
Thank you. You mentioned fake news. Rachel, you and I both live in a land of a president who has coined that term quite recently. What are you seeing right now as the biggest challenge here at one of the epicenters of? And I think you're coming to us today from Silicon Valley, or near enough to where many of these tech platforms are headquartered. Are you not?
Hi, sorry about that. I'm calling in from Berkeley today, in California. And the biggest challenges that I see are absolutely influenced by my location. And there are two main prongs of that. One is around the platforms of our brains. We are hardwired to pay attention to things that make us afraid, to prioritize fear as an emotion. But that kind of brain platform that we all have leaves us open for emotional manipulation. And that, I think, coupled with the way that online platforms, social media, et cetera, are optimized to drive maximum attention and to look for massive flows of when people are watching and speaking about something. The coupling of where online platforms are now, plus our hardwiring in our own bodies, I see as a very dangerous.
Dawood, do you see it differently or similar?
Well, it is more or less similar, because as Rachel moved or waved her mobile phone, this mobile phone has become a kind of, magical device. Or particularly, I personally believe that the advent of this internet and then the social media and interactive platforms, this thing has revolutionized everything. I mean, it is utterly revolutionary and transformative that you are able to talk to millions of people. Just through Facebook, or millions or billions of people can even engage with one sentence that you say. So the challenge with this, advent of internet and social media and the fake news is that it has now found a very fast and magical route of transmission to one another. And a recent MIT study found that lies or fake news move 6 times faster than the correct news, because people have particular prejudices and they want to feed those prejudices, and they want to spread those fake news. So it has become almost a kind of no man's land as to how to handle this monster, as I already used the word monster. So this, exponentially large, kind of medium that you are able to exploit, and there is no way to control it in one way or another. So it has, in one way, it is a blessing, and on the other way around, it is also a curse if you look at the fake news side of it. Or just as Katrina pointed out, that we are not anymore having any privacy or hidden from anybody. So anybody can trick you anywhere, sell you anything, buy you. I mean, anything can happen. So the medium has changed, but the fake news was previously, sort of printed and limited to the books. Now it is everybody's prerogative to just to make up anything and put it on the internet. And if people enjoy it or like it, they will spread it.
I want to jump over to Dawood first in Pakistan and get your sense. As we were just about to start the call, you were saying that this is reminding us that this is hot times in Pakistan. There's quite a lot. I don't know what folks are following here or not in terms of the movement underway, countering a lot of the state, a very strong state effort to, I think, silence civil society and challenge a number of activists. I'm generalizing here, but maybe you could give us a picture of what you're seeing as a communications and activism expert locally. You have a great, we've been talking about some general principles, but I'd love to get into some, a very specific live case that we have right now, in your backyard, out your window. What are you seeing in this battle, if I can call it that, between civil society working to counter a very strong force?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there is this new movement, which is called Pashtun Tahfuz movement, and this movement has come out of this years of crossfire between the armed militants, the Pakistani states, and in some cases, the cross-border attacks, drone attacks in the northern parts of Pakistan. So these people came up saying that we are being affected by this, war against terror, and we have been, brutalized, and there are human rights abuses. At the first, the state was very friendly and accepted their demands, but later on, sort of antagonism developed. And now the issue is that there is a war of narratives, number one. Then there is the war of, media blackout. The people who are on the other side are not allowed to come up on the media. There is undeclared media blackout on them, and they are unable to speak or promote their narrative. So what basically they are doing is they are utilizing the power of social media and internet that I already referred to. And they are, setting an example which is perhaps unprecedented in the history of South Asia, at least, I have not seen in my life, or in my adult life, I have not seen such an example. So what is striking and important is that a person from a village with, a university degree is now challenging a very powerful state machinery with his narrative. Because his narrative is powerful simply because his examples, his stories are the kind of stories that directly relate to almost everyone, or if it doesn't directly relate to everyone, it relates to someone they know. So the powerful, positive, and peaceful narrative is reverberating across Pakistan. And what basically is unique in this effort is the use of alternate media instead of mainstream media. So this alternate media, as I already said, that has given voice to a lot of voiceless people and a lot of voiceless movements. The fact that every one of us is talking from different continents on this talk show is, a sort of gift of this internet and this magic of this internet, and they are using this magic to promote their narrative. And to a common man, to a person like me who is studying this moment and looking to these two narratives, a friend of mine said to me, how do you know that this person who is talking about being affected by war, being affected by oppressions, how do you know that he is not an agent of a foreign country? I just said to him that, well, I know him because of his narrative. Whatever he tells is what I know of him. So the day I see something suspicious, of course, I will also start doubting him. So then there is the use of fake news. Again, if I may refer to that, both the parties are saying that they are, being affected. For example, if there is a video, being liked by a lot of people, so the fake newsmakers are trying to make more videos of those sort, which may not be true, and they promote those videos and kind of create a kind of a scenario which is completely uncertain. The one thing that has come out of all these moments and these campaigns and these narratives is that there is a degree of uncertainty among common people who do not have the capacity or tools to know how to verify news. So to me, this is a unique example of promoting positive, peaceful narrative. So far, it has remained very positive and very peaceful, and let's hope it remains peaceful in the future as well. And the important thing is that one article which was published in a foreign newspaper was shared thousands of times, even tens of thousands of times, because of the fact that it was not given the voice here at home. So to me, the last thing that I would say to everyone, and particularly to authoritarian regimes across the globe, is that they should understand this transformation in the way people interact with each other. They should understand that things have changed now. Social media internet has changed everything. The World Wide Web has enabled everyone to make a glossy sort of TV station at his home and talk to people. I mean, they can talk to anyone, anytime. So the governments, the authoritarian regimes need to understand this fact and accept the positive things, the legitimate things, the things that are, constitutional, that are relating to basic human rights. So this will create a perfect and peaceful world, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I love your optimism here. It gives me some hope. And we're seeing a few questions from fellow campaigning organizations who work with activists, like many of your colleagues in different parts of the world. And whether it's Pascal here at Save the Children, or Palika at Witness, we have some others who I think are asking some related questions about what should we tell activists? What advice can we give to folks who are feeling quite, feeling the pressure of feeling the pressure of fake news, being bombarded with counter narratives. Is it, what I'm hearing you say is that positive news, that there's something powerful simply in the positive nature of trusted positive news. But I guess, what advice would you give to those feeling, overwhelmed and like we're losing these battles, like in contexts like yours?
Well, I think there are a few things they should take care of. Number one, which is being tested by time, is that people should remain peaceful with their narrative. I mean, the moment a narrative or the moment a kind of movement turns into violence, then there is always an excuse for the other side to crack down against them or do the opposite, or bring about the fake news. And they should have the capacity and understanding to technically use social media in such a way that they have a singular platform from where they can give their own. For example, if I may quote this moment in Pakistan, when it started this year in January, there were hundreds of groups and pages that were named with this movement, but they were not, operated by the people who are behind this movement. But if there is a singular platform, the people know that this is the narrative and this is the counter narrative, then it will work positively. And as I said, that the peaceful nature and the positive nature of the narratives is very important. It works. It has worked in the case of Nelson Mandela. It has worked in the case of Palestinians. opinions, and a lot of other cases are there where we are seeing that the peacefulness of a narrative is very important. So what I would say is that the social media is one way, and the other way is the instant messaging apps and the new things that are coming up, like the one we are now talking over, the virtual spaces that we are having available to us from various platforms. They should all be utilized, including websites, static things like website where they can put up their, just as Katrina said, that if you do not have any expertise in making particular videos or very expert or professional videos, you can make, sort of very amateur videos by your own workers and put them on the internet. You do not, you do not know which video is going to go viral and which video is going to attract people. So this is what I would say to the people. And one more last point I would like to make here is that it may be surprising for you that we in Pakistan are yet to develop a culture for reasonable dissent and a safe zone for enabling meaningful debate on issues affecting people's lives. So it is important that people play their cards very carefully so that their public or the activists are not affected, and at the same time they are able to promote their positive and peaceful narrative.
That's great. Yeah, we are making, we know there's a whole nother conversation we could have about closing civic or democratic space and spaces for free speech at all. That comes in parallel to this conversation about the content.